Hey Booktube, it's Samantha, and first of all, I know the hair is kind of crazy. Today's category is about creatures slash monsters that are in the woods. The book that I picked for this, or that fits into this category, is Those Across the River by Christopher Buehlman. This book just had that oozing aura of just a really creepy read of not really knowing what is across the river. And that's the reason why I picked up the book. But I didn't really know what I was getting into until I was in it. So this book is about a guy named Frank who moves to this pretty rural town called Whitbro, I believe. Yeah, Whitbro, with his girlfriend Eudora. Now on Goodreads it says wife Eudora, but they get married in the book. Like, it's not at the beginning, it's more actually towards the end. Not really plot spoiler. Definitely their girlfriend for most of the book. Anyway, they move to this town, and the reason why is because he wants to write a book about a specific ancestor in his recent family history that did some pretty horrible things in a nearby plantation that was named after the ancestor, which is Savoyard. And so he's wanting to write a book about Savoyard and the plantation that it's on, but no one really wants to talk about it. So he's not getting very far on his story. But what people do talk about is that you don't go to the other side of the river, especially on a full moon night. They always release these pigs as kind of like a sacrifice to something. Not really clear to the main character as to why they're doing this. He tries to find out like what exactly is going on, what is on the other side of the river. And so that's kind of where the plot goes. I really enjoyed the spookiness of this story. I listened to this one on audiobook, and the audiobook was perfection. The narrator did a wonderful job of portraying the emotions that were being told in the story. You know, when the character was like really out of breath and running, like his speech was faster. If he was in a more calm mood, like his speech was slow. It was perfect. The narrator was great. I will say with this book that it takes place after World War I, but before World War II. And the racism is bad. They drop the N-word a lot of times, like a lot. I couldn't even count. There's a lot of racial slurs. It's bad. It's bad. And like, I personally get really uncomfortable reading literature that has all those racial slurs in it, but I kind of overlooked it in this context because in that time period that was pretty acceptable, especially in a more rural town like this one. And then also it did have some influence on the plot and the reason why characters make certain decisions, which I found out as I went through with the story. So it was definitely hard to hear, and that's definitely something I should personally work on, because I do understand that sometimes those racial slurs are a part of our history and it's uncomfortable for a reason, and sometimes we need to bear with that uncomfortableness. There was just a lot more to it than just a creepy book, and when it got to the end, man, it was a fast paced, like the last 4 hours of the book I just flew through it, which is almost the last third of it. And really enjoyed the payoff on the end of the book, and it was a great find. I'm really glad that it came across for me.